No. So let me just get my notes. Watched a hair tutorial by Summer McKeen. She actually got YouTube famous for her hair videos. I've had so many DMs and people message me and people who know me personally who have come to me and be like, hey Tash, how did you get involved with the whole working with brand scene? How did you become a model, in a sense, which I'm going to speak about more why I did this. Before we get into it, I just want to clarify a couple of things. Firstly, I know that, you know, as society and like people around the world, we have different views of what we know a model to be. I mean, I think that we've definitely evolved and we've definitely like developed over the years of like what we deem to be the typical look of a model, or somebody who has the body of a model, or who looks like a model, or who does particular things, like has a portfolio, or we've seen on adverts, or we've seen on a magazine cover, and those certain things qualify that person to be a model. And I think, yes, those things still apply, but nowadays it's a lot, I would say, more easier. Not for most, but for some it's like quite easier. I think that those standards and that like mindset has changed throughout the years. If you don't know, basically I have had the very fortunate opportunity to be able to like work with this locally and see how it runs. And damn, like we're gonna be telling stories today, starting off by telling you like how my journey started or what my first experience was like. I'm going to make it very brief. I was fortunate enough to have friends who are clothing owners and designers who own brands. It was last year, I think it was February, there was a photo shoot that I was invited to by the brand KIC and Social Art, which are two local brands, and I was very fortunate to know the people who own those brands prior to that photo shoot because they were my friends. That was where I sort of had my first experience with like having a formal shoot. It was in a studio. They were like releasing a line for Valentine's Day. I was a couple of the people who became like the faces or like the promotion team for that, and it was a really cool experience. And since then the ball started rolling, and here we are a year later. Crazy enough to say how far I've come and like what I've done. Currently sitting, I have worked with so many brands since. If I were to list them, the video will be the length of what it's supposed to be without me telling you all the other things that are involved. If you want more information on a couple of brands that I've worked with, you can look at my Instagram. I will leave it in the description box below. There's been just so many and I can't like remember them off the top of my head, but clothing wise I've had like various opportunities. And then when we look at like photo shoots as well, working with particular photographers, if you're local, you know that it's very easy to message a photographer, or well, it's not the most complicated thing, but we're so exposed to having all these opportunities. In terms of how I started, I was 16 when I first jumped onto the scene. Now that I'm 18, and it has been a long journey but a very exciting one. Now currently I'm sitting in the position of being like a brand ambassador for the brand Love Yourself, which is actually like products and jewelry. I've done a shoot with them recently as well, Mood Hype as well. I was meant to release the Fashion Week vlog last year, but I lost the footage for that. That vlog showed me working with Mood Hype, and that is another brand that I'm an ambassador for. There's a lot of affiliate work that I've been working on too, and I've also been a part of an agency, and I'm going to share my proper and true experience with being with an agency. Basically why I've mentioned all of this to you is just like to tell you that I think that I can speak from a point of experience. Another thing I'm going to emphasize is that I'm only speaking from experience. You know, there are obviously people out there who have done way more, who are my age, and people who are getting started, who want direction. I'm not basing this conversation off what others have done, basing it off my experience and what I think can help people who are interested, who want advice to pursue what they want to pursue. I have 3 very simple actionable steps that I would give to you if you're new or you're looking to jump into this story. A lot of questions that I get asked mostly is like, how do you approach, how are you going to appropriately approach the brands that you want to work with, the photographers that you want to collaborate with? And this starts with the first step, is the reaching out. Obviously when you're in the beginning stages, this is where your foundation starts, your research starts. Reaching out to as many brands, as many photographers as you can find. Your profile or your brand or your label starts here. It starts with the way that you represent yourself as a person. For example, for me, what works best and like how I gain a lot of my opportunities is from Instagram. As I approach a brand, the first thing that they'll see is how I choose to show my brand. Obviously I've been able to build that on my page, and I've been able to have like several opportunities so they can see that in the past I have worked with other labels and other brands. I made sure that I took, you know, pride in the feed, the way that it looked, even though I don't think that I have a real deep feed. My following has been growing very slowly. I don't have a massive following, but it's a following that's growing for sure. And all those things, yes, they do matter, but I don't want you to feel like just because you may not have the following, or you feel like your Instagram feed is like only developing, or it may not even be your Instagram feed, you may have a portfolio that, you know, there's just so many different ways that you can approach, and it also depends on what and who you're trying to approach. But I'm basically talking for if you want to work with like a particular like clothing brand. I'm talking local only right now. Speaking from experience, you have to reach out. In the beginning, you're rarely going to have people trying to contact you first to try and collaborate with you. It is up to you to make your name for yourself, and the first step to take, so like I said, like, your face becomes basically your brand. My first like tip under the category of reaching out is make sure that when you do reach out, you have something to display. It's very rare that, you know, even from my experience, if I want an opportunity with a business, to email them. A lot of them of late like first you DM them, then it moves to the emails where they ask for the rest of your documentation about who you are. I know that it's like some people just plain want to, you know, maybe just help promote a brand, or they want to maybe be the face of a brand, or just like be a part of the people who model for it. You still have to have something to show in most cases to be able to even be considered. With regards to reaching out, another thing that I want to mention is locally, don't be fooled. There are so many brands these days. If you look on like an influencer's Instagram page and you look at their following or who they follow, I guarantee you that with all of them, there's going to be at least one brand or one company that is local that they follow, whether it's clothing, phone cases, products. Local is the new cool. A lot of local companies speak from a place of them not necessarily receiving support or them looking for people to work with, and it's so much easier trying to approach people locally than approaching a bigger international brand. It's advised that to start working local. How I started compiled a list of like brands that I started working with is, if you look on most influencers IG pages, people that they follow that are local, that are brands or photographers. So start by going onto their pages. You can even look on mine. I follow many local, you know, companies and clothing brands and product brands. But remember, like I had mentioned, if you're going to do this approach, you have to make sure that you have a message that at least states who you are, what your aim is with the brand. Those two things, you'll be set. You yourself are a brand approaching a brand. Like, mention the things that you do, or even mention your interests if you don't have a description of who you are, because you have to at least provide them with some information about yourself as you're approaching them, because they don't know who you are. The first thing that they're going to see is this message that you're sending. So obviously you want to have the important information that you want to convey to them about who you are. In my case, in the message that I usually send, it just states that I'm a YouTuber, and with that I also say the aim of what I want to get out from working with them. So in most cases I just explain to them that I just want to help promote or share or be an affiliate for their brand. You always have to somehow suggest how you can be a two-way street. What if you're somebody who doesn't have a big following, or somebody who is not big on Instagram, but you know that you can help them by maybe with sales, like, you know, so many people who are interested in their brand and you can help them sell. Sometimes they're just looking for people who can help sell their products. You're not offering something that looks as if it's just going to benefit you. At the end of the day, it might benefit them as well. You need to remember that you are starting this. If you are in that phase, you're watching this, you're only starting. So if you don't know where to go, if you don't know how to look, speak to people who know people. In the beginning, my knowledge of the local brands and my knowledge of everything that was happening locally was very small. You don't have to reach out to every single opportunity you see. And if it gets to that point where you can start to choose which opportunity you want to use or not really use, that's great for you. That means that you're well on your way. You decide who you want to work with. And in the beginning, my advice is not to be too picky with this part, because you're trying to reach out, you're trying to gain an opportunity. By being picky in the beginning, you're limiting yourself at the end of the day. So try not to do that. Try to be very open and try to work with people. The second thing, oftentimes they'll ask you to send things like your information. They're not very specific with what they want from you. They basically just want to see what you can offer. You have to be very mindful of the way that you approach. You don't want to reach the maximum amount of characters on Instagram. You can save your longer messages for emails. I have a separate message for what I DM people and a separate message for what I email them. The email one is a lot more extensive but also very particular. So if I want to message a company to like perform, that's like a completely different message that I will type. You're trying to present something, but you need to show what you're presenting. Can you have your Instagram as that first thing that a brand or company will see if you are doing the DM approach? If you have an email approach, what document do you want to attach? And I think in the beginning, the overwhelming part just comes from not knowing where to start or who to approach or if you're doing it right. Like anything else in life, you will try, and if you find out that whatever you're trying is not working, you try again, or you're trying a different way. Don't be scared to show who you are. It's not gonna be very wise to, if you have nothing, message Nike. The truth is with the bigger brands, those particular companies are more difficult to approach because they work now with agencies. For my situation, I did all of this and all the opportunities by myself. I never had a management, and it was a part of an agency, but my agency really didn't help me a lot with opportunities. They never engaged with me at all, and I was with them for a year and my contract with them has signed up, but I've done so much by myself in that whole time. You don't have to fall into the mindset of thinking that you have to have or be with an agency. It does help. There are particular ones that are there to help you. I think I'm in the process of just trying to like find an agency again, but I'm loving working by my own and finding opportunities on my own. Agencies and having management just helps you do the conversations and do the talking and like organize the things for you. If you're starting and you just want to like explore it on your own before you go into the deep levels of having an agency or working with a management, the best place to do the research in this case is Instagram. If you try to Google local brands, they will give you answers, but those are the local brands that appear on the Fashion Week runway. Sometimes it may take a really long time to find the one person who's willing to see what you're about, and don't lose faith. The beautiful thing about this journey is you never know what might happen. You never know who's going to approach you at one day. But you got to start somewhere, and that's you going to them saying, "Hi, this is me." The third thing, which I found was very helpful in my situation, was having a creative way to show for yourself and who you are. So for that, in my case, I'll explain the story so that it makes it easier to make this point. I was working with the brands, I think before I started with the channel, or they happened around the same time. I think the brand thing happened before YouTube. It made a difference to them coming back to me wanting to work again, or them sharing my video, therefore like getting more views and stuff. At the end of the day, like collaborating the two helps one another. The point that I'm trying to make here is if you can find more than one creative outlet to share whatever you're doing, it can help you. So yes, I may have my Instagram page to show maybe the shirt that I got. I will include that content in a video, for example. When you are able to approach whoever you're approaching with options, but if I tell them like, as a YouTuber, I want to create a video that's going to promote this or that's going to encourage this, they become wide open. Brands approach those people because they know that they can get very good promotion and very good exposure. So you might be wondering, well, I don't have a YouTube channel, I can't perform at shows like wearing clothes because I'm not a performer. What do I do? If you take pictures in whatever you receive, that's an outlet. You don't have to have such a big other thing that's helping you get there. What are you offering and what are they offering you? That is something that you need to bear in mind. You need to see their perspective. A lot of them will not just provide stuff for free unless they're looking for promotion. Maybe you can have like a team of people who are your friends who are willing to help you, create a WhatsApp group, and whenever you're able to get an opportunity with a business, you just work with them. In terms of actually like having things like a portfolio and stuff, my best advice is just to research how to compile those. Like for example, I have a digital one. Maybe if you're not sure what to show, you should maybe ask what exactly they would like from you. Sometimes they don't even reply with that. They want you to show them what you're coming to the table with. In my case, I leave the links to all my social media accounts. If you're gonna approach a photographer, they might ask you for your own concept. Most of the time they may not have a concept. Their role is to take the pictures that you want. In different situations, you have to have something. You have to have a plate with some food on to bring to the table. Wrapping up, my whole point of this video is that this is a particular journey that I figured out along the way. More often than not, if you're doing it well, they'll commend you for approaching them or commend you for, you know, wanting to work. But don't be disheartened if you don't get opportunities. I mean, in every 20 people or brands that you approach, you may get the 5 that will be willing to work, the 10 that won't reply, and then the 5 that say no. It's not something that will happen overnight. I'm still, you know, growing. I'm not in a position to say that I've made it. I still have dream brands that I'm trying to approach and message. Even from the money that you make through the promotions, there's certain ways that this can work for you financially or not. Rather, don't look at it from the perspective of that. It's a very each to their own type of situation, and I don't want you to take away anything that you feel like you're incapable of doing. If you feel like I should maybe give more particular advice, or if you have a particular question I can answer for you, then go ahead, leave a comment down below. We can talk more about this. For those of you who wanted this type of video, like I said, I got many requests for it. I hope that helped you. I did want to talk about it and touch on it a little bit. And if you want to see my experiences with working with shoots and different brands, I have many videos from like last year on my channel that deal with this. And I'm still growing. I mean, now this was the first year that I became an official ambassador for more than one brand, and also and approaching thrift stores. It may not like work out in the beginning. Just keep trying, keep approaching, keep messaging, keep building you and doing you. That is all for today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.